The galaxy is full of light, countless stars burning across the endless dark, countless civilizations marking their borders, trading, fighting, exploring, and building empires. The great map of the galaxy is the heart of the Galactic Council. It shows every known world, every corridor of trade, every empire that has risen and fallen across millions of years. The map is more than lines and stars. It is power, it is truth, but if you look closely, you will see something strange. At the far edge, where the spiral arms stretch into silence, the map simply stops, not because there are no stars there, not because there are no worlds, but because no one dares to draw what lies beyond. That place is marked with a heavy black line, and written in old letters across it are three simple words: human space. Everyone knows better than to ask why. No council member ever raises the question, no ambassador ever dares to mention it. Even the youngest cadets learn quickly. If they see the black line, they look away. If they hear the word human, they fall silent. Curiosity has cost lives before, curiosity will cost lives again, and in the galaxy, silence is safer than truth. Yet there are always those who cannot resist. One young alien cadet, named Kether, stared at the map longer than he should. His scales glowed faintly in the council chamber's light, and his sharp eyes lingered on that forbidden edge. Why does it stop here? He asked. His voice was soft, but in the chamber it rang like a weapon. His mentor, an older scholar named Jorith, froze. The chamber grew quiet, too quiet. Jorith leaned close, whispering so only Kether could hear. Do not ask that question. If you value your life, you will never ask again. His voice shook. Though Jorith was a veteran of wars, he had spoken before kings and lords without fear. Yet here, with one curious question, his hands trembled. Ethar frowned. But every other space is marked: the Vorian border, the Mylar dominion, even the ancient ruins of the Kraith are shown. Why not this? Jorith's eyes turned cold. He had seen too much to let curiosity live unchecked. Because ships that cross that line never return, because knowledge itself dies when it tries to go there, because the map ends where humans begin. The words were heavy, falling like chains around Kether's young mind. The cadet wanted to laugh. He wanted to believe it was only superstition, perhaps a mistake in the archives. Yet the fear in his mentor's voice was real, the silence in the chamber was real, and the black line across the galaxy's heart was real. Outside the chamber, stories lived in whispers. No one spoke them openly, but Kether had heard pieces before: traders who swore they saw human ships appear from nowhere, warriors who claimed humans could fight without fear, explorers who returned broken, saying only, do not follow the humans. But no one ever told the full truth, because no one truly knew. Or if they did, they never lived long enough to share. That night, Kether sat alone in the archives, staring at the map again. The stars glittered like jewels, but his eyes always drifted back to the void, back to the line that marked the edge of knowing. His mind burned with questions. What could be so terrible that even the Council of Worlds was afraid? Why did the galaxy bow its head in silence at the name of one young species? What secret lay hidden beyond that black line? The more he thought, the heavier the air around him seemed to grow, as if the universe itself was warning him. As if unseen eyes were watching. Jorith appeared suddenly, his shadow stretching across the glowing star charts. He said nothing at first, he only looked at the map with tired eyes. At last he spoke, his voice low and broken. I once had a free ND who tried to find the answer. Kether turned sharply, and Jorith shook his head. He took a ship across the border, brave, full of fire. He said he would bring back truth. He said he would tear away the mystery. Jorith's hands clenched. His ship never returned. Weeks later, fragments of his hull drifted back, empty, cold, and his name was erased from the records, as if he never existed at all. The chamber lights dimmed, casting shadows across the map. The black lines seemed darker now, thicker, more final. Jorith placed a hand on Kether's shoulder. Some knowledge is not meant to be chased. Some doors must stay closed. That is why the map ends here. That is why we do not ask. Kether felt his courage fade. He had thought the galaxy was an open book, ready to be read, but now he saw the truth. Some chapters were torn out, locked away, forbidden to every hand, and yet, deep inside, a spark still lived. The forbidden always calls the loudest. The black line on the galactic map was not only an end, it was also a question that demanded an answer, and somewhere, far beyond the edge, the humans were waiting. The Galactic Council was built on knowledge. Every race believed in logic, in reason, in science that could explain all things. They had mapped the stars, measured the void, and tamed entire worlds. They believed there was nothing left that could surprise them, nothing left that could not be studied, recorded, and placed on the great map. And yet, there was the black line, a mark of silence in a galaxy of voices, the edge of human space. For generations, scholars had whispered about it. Each year new cadets entered the academies, each year at least one of them asked the forbidden question, and each year that cadet either fell silent, or disappeared. Still, the whispers never died. Kether was not the first to question, and he would not be the last. After his conversation with Joreth, the hunger inside him only grew stronger. He could not sleep, he could not eat, his mind circled endlessly around that single truth. Why did the galaxy fear one young species so much? Humans were newcomers, they had only been known to the Council for a few thousand years, a blink compared to the ancient empires. The Vorian Starlords had ruled for 500,000 years, the Serac dynasties had risen and fallen in endless cycles. The Kraith ruins whispered of a people who had burned suns for fuel, but humans had only just begun to leave their home system, and still, the galaxy bent around them. In the private halls of the Council, away from the public eye, arguments raged. Some ambassadors demanded that human space be opened, mapped, and claimed. They called it arrogance that one species could block the path of exploration. They said the Council was bowing to myth, but every time the debate rose, it ended in the same way. Someone would stand, usually a leader of an old and powerful race, and say simply, "You do not understand, you were not there, you do not know what the humans did," and then the chamber would fall silent. But no one ever explained. Rumors filled the silence, 1,000 different stories, each one more impossible than the last. Some said humans had fought a war against an ancient predator race that the Council itself had feared, and somehow, impossibly, won. Others said humans had broken the laws of physics, building ships that bent reality. Some claimed humans were not even bound by time, that they could see futures, change them, and twist fate to their will. And still, there were darker whispers, whispers that humans had not risen naturally, that they had been shaped, built by something older, something hidden in the shadows of the universe, a weapon, wearing the face of a species. Kether searched every archive he could reach, but the files ended abruptly whenever they touched human space. It was as if the Council itself was erasing knowledge. He found fragments, words half-burned, reports cut short, data feeds that ended mid-sentence, always the same message repeated in different voices, different ages. Do not follow the humans. Still, fragments of truth surfaced. He found a record of a battle, fought long before he was born. An alliance of 3 powerful empires had clashed with a young human fleet. The reason was lost, erased perhaps, but the outcome was clear. The 3 empires no longer existed, their stars burned silent, their worlds shattered, and their names erased from history. Only whispers remained, whispers that it had taken humans less than a decade to break them. Kether read the words again and again. He wanted to doubt, but the fear in the text was real. The words of survivors who could not explain what they had seen, ships appearing where there should have been none, weapons striking faster than thought, and human soldiers who fought with something beyond courage, as if fear itself could not touch them. One survivor wrote, "They fight like they know they cannot lose, they fight as if the universe itself fights beside them." And then the record ended. Kether's blood chilled. He remembered Joreth's warning, but the hunger inside him did not fade. In fact, it grew sharper. He began to notice things he had ignored before, the way human ambassadors were treated with quiet respect, the way council guards shifted uneasily whenever a human entered, the way even the most arrogant lords lowered their eyes when a human passed by. It was as if every race in the galaxy knew a secret that Kether did not, and the more they tried to hide it, the more he wanted to know. One night, in a shadowed corner of the archives, Kether overheard 2 old scholars whispering. Their voices trembled, though they believed they were alone. "They are wrong to hide the truth," one said. "Every young race should know what waits beyond." "No," the other hissed, "the truth is death. Speak it and you invite it. Do you not understand? The humans are not like us. They are the end of maps, the end of questions, the end of history itself." Kether leaned closer, his heart hammered. The first scholar whispered, "But what if the humans rise higher? What if they decide to expand, if the galaxy already fears them now, what happens when they choose to act? The second scholar fell silent, then he said something that froze Kether's blood. Then the galaxy will end, not in fire, not in war, but in silence, because once humans choose, nothing else matters. Kether stumbled back, his breath quickened, the whispers, the erased records, the black line on the map. Suddenly they all felt heavier, more dangerous. He looked once more at the great galactic map, at the black line where stars should be, and for the first time, he did not see a border, he saw a warning carved into the galaxy itself. And yet, the spark in his heart refused to die, the forbidden always burned the brightest, and Kether whispered to himself, I will find the truth. There are stories in the galaxy that everyone pretends not to know, stories erased from the records, stories whispered only in the dark. The tale of the lost expedition is one of them. Kether discovered it by accident. He had broken into an abandoned section of the archives, dust thick on the walls, light crystals long dead. The chamber smelled of rust and silence. As he searched through forgotten tablets, his claws scraped across a data crystal, unmarked, unregistered, as if someone had hidden it there. He pressed it into the console, and the chamber came alive with flickering light. The record was damaged, fragments only, but even fragments were enough. The expedition had begun with arrogance. 3 centuries ago, when the humans were still new to the stars, the Council had believed the young race weak. They had grown too fast, too reckless. The Council feared they would break the balance of power, so an expedition was formed. 30 ships from 3 proud empires, armed with the best weapons of the age. Their mission was simple: enter human space, demand submission, and if they resisted, crush them. The first reports were full of confidence. The fleet entered the border, sensors wide, weapons ready. They expected resistance, perhaps a small fleet, primitive technology. Instead, they found emptiness. Stars burned, planets spun, but no sign of life appeared. For weeks they searched. A voice in the records laughed. Perhaps the humans are nothing but a ghost story. Perhaps we were sent here to chase shadows. And then the shadows answered. The first ship vanished without warning. One moment its beacon pulsed strong, the next it was gone. No explosion, no debris, only silence. The commander ordered tighter formation, but that did not help. A second ship vanished, then a third, each one erased in silence, as if space itself swallowed them whole. The surviving ships began to panic. The records showed their voices rising, officers shouting, alarms screaming. Some demanded retreat, others insisted on pushing deeper, and then the humans arrived. The record flickered. Static filled the chamber, but through the noise Kether saw something. Human ships, small, simple in design, no larger than a patrol craft. They should not have been a threat, but the way they moved was wrong, too fast, too precise, as if they already knew where the enemy would be before they arrived. One officer screamed in the recording, "They are inside our sensors, they are inside our thoughts, they know us before we move." The battle lasted minutes, not hours. The alien fleet's weapons fired, but the shots bent away, energy vanishing into nothing. Their shields failed, their hulls crumpled. The humans did not destroy with fire, they erased, piece by piece, until only a few ships remained. One commander begged for mercy, his voice cracked with fear. "We did not know, we did not understand. Please, let us go." The record blurred again, static screaming louder than words. But then a single human voice came through, cold, calm, final, "Turn back. This is not your place." Kether shivered as the chamber fell silent. The last fragments showed a single ship limping home, hull torn, crew gone, only one survivor strapped to the console, his eyes wild, his voice broken. He whispered the same words over and over, "Do not follow the humans, do not follow the humans, do not follow the humans," until his breath ended, and then the record stopped. Kether sat frozen. His claws dug into the console, his scales pale with fear. This was no myth, no rumor. This was history. The Council had erased it, buried it, but the truth had survived in the cracks. The young cadet felt torn. Part of him wanted to flee, to never speak of what he had seen, but another part, stronger, sharper, burned with fire. If the humans could do this, if they could erase fleets and crush empires in silence, then why did the Council still treat them with respect? Why not war? Why not destruction? Unless the truth was even darker, unless the Council knew that war with humans was not only unwinnable, but unthinkable. Jorith found him in the dark chamber. His eyes narrowed as he saw the console still glowing. He sighed, heavy with sorrow. You found it, didn't you? Kether turned, his voice trembling. It's true, the expedition, the vanishing fleet, all of it. Why do they hide it? Why not tell us the truth? Jorith shook his head slowly. Because truth is dangerous. The galaxy is built on order, on balance. If every young cadet knew what the humans really were, the balance would fall apart. Some would flee in terror, others would try to challenge them. But why? Kether pressed. Why are humans different? What are they? Jorith's voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. They are not different, that is the problem. They are us, but sharper, stronger, faster. Every fear we bury, they unleash. Every boundary we respect, they break. They do not stop where others stop, and that is why the map ends with them. Kether swallowed hard. His mentor's words echoed in his chest like thunder, but still the spark of defiance would not die. He whispered to himself, almost too quiet to hear, if they are the end of maps, then I will go where the map ends. Jorith's eyes widened. He saw the hunger in the young cadet, the same hunger that had destroyed his friend long ago. He shook his head. Do not, Kether. Some truths eat the ones who chase them. But the cadet did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the black line in his memory, on the silence that hid the humans, and deep within the darkness of space, unseen by all, human ships drifted at the edge of alien borders, waiting, always waiting. The lost expedition was not forgotten by everyone. In the shadows of the galaxy, in private councils and secret chambers, there were still those who doubted. They whispered that the story was a lie, that the council had invented it to protect its power. They believed humans were nothing more than myth dressed in fear. Among them was the Zorith Empire, proud and ambitious. Their fleet stretched across 1,000 stars, their armies had crushed neighbors and rivals for centuries. To them, the idea that a young race from a small spiral arm could inspire such fear was insulting. The Emperor of Zorith, a towering figure named Valor, stood before his warlords and spoke with fire in his voice. The council hides behind shadows. They speak of humans as if they are gods, but I see only weakness, a species too young, too small to hold such power. If they can frighten the council, then I will not fear them. I will break their silence. I will show the galaxy the truth. The warlords roared their approval. In secret, the emperor gathered a fleet, not 30 ships like the lost expedition, but 300, cruisers, battleships, carriers, an armada meant to crush empires. They moved carefully, their signals hidden, their banners erased. Officially the fleet did not exist. The council would not know until it was too late. On the edge of human space, the stars seemed calm, planets spun in silence, the void stretched wide and empty. The fleet advanced, arrogant, certain of their victory. Kether, now older, now deeper in the council archives, had begun to hear whispers of this fleet, rumors that Zorith planned to do what no one else dared. His heart tightened with dread. He remembered Jorith's warning, the madness of the lost expedition, the broken survivors' whispers. Do not follow the humans. But the Zorith did not listen. They believed fear was weakness, and weakness was prey. When the fleet crossed the border, nothing happened at first. No resistance, no alarms, only silence. The commanders laughed, mocking the council. This is the great terror, empty skies and dead worlds, nothing but ghost stories. Then the humans appeared, not in massive fleets, not with armies of overwhelming fire, but with only a handful of ships, small, dark, almost plain in design. They drifted at the edge of the Zorith sensors, silent. Watching, the Zorith commanders mocked them. Patrol craft, that is all, children's toys. They armed their weapons, preparing to fire, and then a voice came through the channels, not loud, not threatening, simply calm, clear. Human, turn back. The words echoed in every ship, in every mind, a simple warning, a simple choice. The Zorith laughed. You dare warn us? We are the Empire. We do not turn back. Weapons charged, fleets spread wide, and then, something impossible happened. Panic spread, commanders shouted orders, but their voices cracked. How are they doing this? Why can't we see them? Why can't we hit them? Again, the voice returned, calm, almost pitying. Turn back. But the Emperor of Zorith would not listen. His pride was a fire too strong. Forward, all ships, crush them. The armada surged, hundreds of ships against only a handful, but the handful was enough. Human vessels slid through their ranks like shadows through water, every shot the Zorith fired bent away, every maneuver failed, and when the humans struck back, it was not with fire and thunder, it was with silence. One by one, ships vanished, no explosions, no wreckage, they were simply gone, erased from existence, erased from memory, as if they had never been built at all. Panic turned to madness, officers screamed, some begging for mercy, some clawing at their own consoles in terror. The Emperor's flagship shook as crew fled their stations, but Valor still shouted, "Fight, fight, we are the Empire." And then, his voice ended, his flagship was gone, swallowed by silence. Only a single ship remained, drifting alone, its systems broken, its crew shattered. A single survivor sat trembling at the controls, his eyes wide, his voice cracked. He whispered into the void, "They are not ships, they are not soldiers, they are death itself. Do not follow them, do not follow the humans." The fleet of 300 was gone, erased in moments. The galaxy never saw them again. Kether listened to the whispers in the council. The Zorith denied the loss, claimed their fleet was still on campaign, but the truth spread in secret, in whispers and fear, and every whisper ended with the same words, "Turn back." The galactic map remained unchanged, the black line held firm, and the silence around human space grew heavier than ever. But Kether could not let go. The more the galaxy Fia read, the more his hunger grew. If humans could erase empires with a whisper, then what power did they truly hold, and what lay beyond their silence? In the dark of his chamber, he whispered to himself again, "I will find the truth, even if it destroys me." And somewhere, far beyond the edge of maps, human voices whispered back, unheard, unseen, waiting. The galaxy was full of questions, but the greatest one had always been the same. Why did the map stop at human space? Why did the council whisper? Why did every race fall silent when the name was spoken? For Kether, the answer had become an obsession. He had seen the fragments of the lost expedition, he had heard the whispers of the broken survivors, he had watched the mighty Zorith Empire vanish into silence, but still he wanted more. He wanted truth, not fear, not rumor, not shadow. And so, against every warning, he left, alone, in a small ship, with only his hunger to guide him. He crossed the black line on the galactic map. He entered human space. At first it was quiet, stars burned as stars always did, worlds spun, comets drifted. It looked no different from any other region of the galaxy. The silence almost mocked him, as if daring him to believe the stories had been lies. But then he saw them, human ships, not massive fleets, not grand armadas, just a handful, silent, dark, drifting like shadows at the edge of vision. They did not attack, they did not flee, they only watched. A voice came across his channel, the same voice that had haunted the survivors of every encounter, calm, soft, carrying weight beyond any weapon. "Turn back." Kether swallowed, his claws trembled, but he forced himself to answer, "No, I came for truth, I came for answers." For a long moment there was only silence, then the human voice spoke again, not angry, not harsh, only certain, "Truth is not for you, turn back." But Kether set on, his ship drifted deeper, and the stars began to change. At first he thought it was a trick of the sensors, stars blinking, shifting, but then he realized, they were not stars, they were wounds, scars in the fabric of space, entire regions where light bent the wrong way, where darkness folded in on itself, worlds broken into dust, suns cracked open and left burning like dying hearts. The air in his lungs turned cold. He saw ruins, fragments of fleets that did not belong to any one race, ancient ships, far older than humankind, shattered, twisted, scattered across the void. Joritha's words returned to him, "They are us, but sharper, stronger, faster. They do not stop where others stop." And now he understood, humans had not been the first to rise here, others had tried before them, races older, stronger, brighter, but where they had broken, humans had survived. They had looked into the void, into the endless terror, and instead of fleeing, they had endured. Kether realized the truth with a shudder. Humans were not feared because they were cruel, or because they were monsters. They were feared because they were survivors, survivors of something greater than war, survivors of the universe itself. The human voice came again, closer now, "We do not expand, We do not conquer, we endure. That is enough. That is why the map ends here, because this is where the galaxy ends, and something else begins. Kether's eyes widened, his heart pounded, he looked deeper into the void, and he saw movement, not ships, not fleets, but shapes, vast. Endless, older than stars, things that should not exist, things that made even human power look small, shadows in the dark, pressing against reality, waiting to be let through. And then he understood, the black line on the map was not a border drawn by the Council, it was a shield, drawn by the humans themselves, a warning, a barrier, a final line to hold the galaxy safe. Humans were not keeping others out, they were keeping something else in. The humans had faced the monsters in the dark, and they had survived, and they were still surviving, holding the line where no other species could, where no other species dared. Kether's ship shook, his sensors screamed, the shapes in the dark pressed closer, hungry, endless, but then the human ships shifted, silent, calm, moving like guardians, and the shadows pulled back, retreating into the void. The voice spoke one last time, firm, final. This is why you turn back, this is why the map ends here, because beyond this line, the universe is no longer yours, it is ours to hold, ours to endure, ours to fight. Kether's eyes filled with tears. He did not understand, he felt terror, but also awe. He saw the truth at last. Humans were not the end of maps because they were feared, they were the end of maps because they were the only reason maps existed at all. Without them, the galaxy would already be gone, swallowed by the dark. His ship was turned around, not by his hands, but by theirs. His engines fired, his course changed, and he was carried back towards safety. The last thing he saw before the void faded was a single human vessel, small, unremarkable, drifting like a shadow, yet behind it, the universe itself seemed to bow. When Kether returned, he could not speak, his voice failed him, his claws shook, he tried to tell the Council, but the words would not come. Only one sentence remained in his mind, burning, unshakable. Eternal. The map ends here, because the humans hold the edge of the universe. And in the silence that followed, he understood what everyone else already knew. Some questions are never asked, some truths are never spoken, and some maps are never drawn, because the humans are there, and they will always be there, waiting, watching, holding the line. If you love HFY stories, mystery sci-fi, and suspenseful narration that keeps you on the edge of your seat, this video is for you. Subscribe for more thrilling sci-fi tales, turn on the bell icon, and join us as we uncover the secrets hidden